Hello, I'm Mr. McBrien. This is TEJ3M, safeguarding your computer. So, to begin with, let's have a quick thought process. What kinds of things safeguard our computers? We've discussed a few already. Maybe pause the video for just a second and think about the answer to that. Okay, so maybe you thought of several physical things to safeguard your computer. Here's a few things that you can do to keep your computer running longer, prevent it from failing. So one of the biggest, heat is always a problem with computers, so you should clean the dust from your computer fans periodically. If a fan starts making noise, you need to take action immediately. It may be cleaning dust out, it may be replacing the fan. If your fan fails, your computer will soon fail too. It's a good idea to have surge protection in your power for your computer. And it's a good idea to have antivirus software and keep it up to date. Now, having said all of this, I'd invite you to remember the second law of thermodynamics. In any process, entropy will increase. The universe is moving towards disorder, and thus stuff happens. So, regardless of how well you maintain your computer, how safe you keep it, you need to prepare for the idea that everything fails eventually. So we've already talked about troubleshooting, diagnosing, and repairing. Today we're going to prepare for the worst situation where there's no way to get your computer back in the form that it was previously by a simple troubleshooting process. So we're going to talk about how to restore your computer when the worst happens. Either the computer's destroyed, the hard drive's destroyed, or the operating system is irrevocably damaged, either by malware or what have you. So there are three things that we need to do. We need to do regular data backups, we need to have a system image, and we need to make a Windows repair disk. Okay, so backups. Why do we make backups? Again, I'll invite you to stop for a second and think about that. The next question, and you should have already answered that in the previous one, what do we back up? Well, the answer is when we make regular backups, we back up data, photos, music, documents, these kinds of things, application data. Now, when Windows fails, there are a bunch of potential causes of this, including hard drive failure, malware, a corrupted registry, corrupted drivers or DLLs, complete destruction of the computer. All those are possibilities. And when that total failure occurs, Windows won't load. And the question is, now what? Well, the answer is, first, you have to say, okay, all of my data, I'm going to have to get these data from backups. But that's not the only story. The installation is also valuable. Our operating system installation contains more than data. It has applications, it has settings, it has drivers. It has our custom configuration. And these things can take a long time to restore if we don't do something proactively. It took lots of work to get our computer where we like it. Why would we want to spend days doing this all over again? The answer is we don't want to, and there's a way to avoid it. So this is the next part of our tripod, the system image. Our data changes daily, Every time we work with a computer, we create documents, we edit photos, we make presentations. Our Windows installation changes much less often. So while regular data backups need to be automated, our system image, we can update this manually. It's a backup of the entire computer effectively, and Windows has tools to go from that backup to a restored installation if the worst occurs. So in Windows 7, we access it through System and Security, go to Backup, Restore, create a system image, create a system repair disk. Of course, we're first interested in creating a system image, backing up our settings, our drivers, and the Windows installation itself. So when we want to create that backup, we go ahead and do it to a specific location. We'll talk more about that location in a few minutes. Okay, so in terms of that location for the system backup, unfortunately, your system image is too large for a DVD. Now you can go out and you can buy a USB drive, a flash drive, because it doesn't need to be as big as your day-to-day hard drive. So you can buy a large flash drive if you want to. It's nice and compact. It's very convenient. If you don't want to do that, think about the last time you upgraded your hard drive. So you may have that half terabyte or terabyte drive kicking around in a drawer, sitting in the basement. You can use that for your system image. So while it may not be big enough for day-to-day work, it is large enough for a system image. I will say one thing though, if you decide to use your old hard drive, do not leave it in the computer case. Many of the disaster scenarios we might think about that might endanger our existing Windows installation apply to any of the hardware in that computer case. So after you've created your system image, make sure that you put your system image in a different location. For example, if your computer is in the basement, flooding is a potential concern. Well, don't leave your system image in the basement, so get it somewhere else. Ideally, store it off-site. Take it to grandma's house. Okay, that isn't the whole story. You also need a Windows system repair disk. You do not need to buy one of these. All you have to do is take a DVD and write to it. You saw the Windows dialog where we can do this, create the system repair disk. It's in the same location as the system image. And most installations of Windows will offer to make one of these for you as soon as you've created a system image. You don't need to create a new system repair disk with each image that you ever create. So those system repair disks are generic. They're also small. So if you've got any blank CDs from ancient times, you can use one of those to save your DVDs for bigger tasks. Okay, now we already talked about the system repair disk. You access it nearly the same way as the other one if you need to. Remember, you only need to create a system repair disk once for each version of Windows. Now let's talk about when the worst happens. So let's imagine that lightning has struck your home office and it's fried your computer. So there are other scenarios where you wouldn't need to buy a new hard drive, but obviously in this case you need to buy yourself a new hard drive. Go to your computer, either your replacement computer or your old computer, insert the Windows repair disk in the DVD drive. And now you can choose between these options. Now these options apply differently for different scenarios. If you were simply having trouble booting, you might try startup repair and system restore. Two options for when the hard drive is still fully functional, but your Windows installation is not. So you can try those if your hard drive wasn't fried by your original situation. For example, if it were a malware problem, you might be able to use startup repair or system restore. For the big bad disaster scenario, you need system image recovery, and you go to that option and start to proceed through. It will walk you through the idea of using your system image and installing that system image to a new hard drive. Now, one more quick note. You can also use this system image approach in that situation where you have decided to upgrade your hard drive. So let's say you move from a 2 terabyte to a 4 terabyte drive. You can upgrade the hard drive and use the backup restore process to get up and running much faster than reinstalling Windows from scratch. And you can use today's system image rather than using one, for example, from 6 months ago. Okay, so key ideas from today then. There's lots of reasons why a Windows installation may fail. Data backups are critical and will be discussed, but system backups can save lots of effort too. Your system image is a second hard drive or flash drive containing your settings, your applications, your operating system. Your Windows repair disk is the utility to help you move that system image back onto a hard drive to get you back up and running. These three things represent what you need to go from a completely functional computer to a trash computer back to a functional computer with only a few minutes manual work if something goes wrong. So for your homework, I'd like you to do a system audit at home. See whether on your most important computers, whether you've got a system image for these. If you don't, start working to get those system images and your Windows Restore disk in place. So there's more detailed information on how to use a system repair disk to restore Windows 7. It's not much different for Windows 10. So if you'd like, you can go ahead and look at this reference to get more information. Thanks very much. Have a great night.